This is Gray Matter, the official podcast from Jacob Grey Firearms. Here we go beyond the machines, past the billet and blueprints, to explore the people, ideas, and innovation shaping the world of precision engineering. From design and craftsmanship to mindset and performance, every episode dives into what it takes to build products and lives defined by excellence. This isn't just about firearms, it's about the pursuit of precision, discipline, and purpose in everything we do. Welcome to Gray Matter, where engineering meets intellect and where every conversation is forged in precision.
What's up, everyone? This is Todd and Jacob Grey, and I do a lot of the videos, and sometimes you don't get a chance to really understand who Jacob is behind the brand of Jacob Grey. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to sit back and sit in a kind of a chill atmosphere, and I'm going to walk Jacob kind of through the chapters of Jacob Grey, and it's going to be really awesome. I've been able to tell this story to many people out there. Jacob's been able to tell the story to many people out there. If you've ever met us at a show or seen us at a show, it's the American dream, and we feel like people have told us to do this, and people have, told Jacob to do a book at some point because the story is cool, and it is it's a true American dream of overcoming and persevering. And we're just going to sit back, and for the next 45 minutes or so, we'll just have a conversation about just kind of where we both came from and how we met. And there's a lot of God in our story, which is cool. And why did this happen? And things are awesome. So I call Jacob Jake because I'm his best friend. He goes by Jacob generally in public, but if I slip in a Jake, don't hit me up on it. But so Jake, let's get started. Where did we come from? Let's go through chapters of Jacob Grey, and where we started. So you're a young boy, growing up in a family. Your dad had a machine shop. Let's go through a little bit of that chapter of kind of where you started and how you got into machining. Anyway, like how did we even start in machining?
I would be what they would call a third generation machinist.
Okay.
My father was a machinist. My grandfather was a machinist. Born and raised in Shelby, North Carolina. Moved to Virginia. My father was in the Coast Guard. Moved to Virginia, late 70s. I'm 55 years old. So in the late 70s, we moved to Virginia. My father was the typical, he was what they call a baby boomer, I guess. And he was the typical hard on his kids. You're going to work, no TV, no radio.
Yeah.
You're working. We got home from school. I mean, we didn't even do homework.
Hardcore. He was pretty hardcore.
He was hardcore. We got dropped off at the machine shop, and, from the age of 10 on up, it was either sweeping the machine shop or standing on milk crates, running a Bridgeport, cutting manhole covers for, the city of Virginia.
Okay.
So
he did manhole covers. So that was something.
I just remember that because it's tattooed in my brain because I had to stand there monotonously, just running a milling machine at 10, 11 years old. So
running a machine at 11, that's crazy to me.
Yeah. And so basically that was my life every day.
Right.
We didn't have a TV or anything like that growing up.
Okay.
My father didn't believe in them. So he was a very tough man. And we'll get into that in a little bit.
Full circle. That's another chapter.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah. So during that time, I kind of got tired of sweeping up chips. Anybody that's worked in a true old school machine shop, Bridgeports and whatnot, the chips go everywhere, walls, whatever. And so you got to come in, you got to clean out the T-slots and whatnot. And
it's filthy too.
It's filthy, oily. You're running, whether you're threading, you got, all the oil smell, the burnt oil smell. So I kind of got tired of doing that. And at about the age 11, there was an old man there working for my father, and he was welding. And one day I just walked over and said, "Show me how to do that."
And why?
Why ask him that?
Yeah.
Because I was tired of sweeping. I was sick of sweeping up chips. My brothers, they were okay with it, And so he did. And every night after I swept, I went back over to the old man and he kept showing me tricks. And a few weeks later, I let my dad know that I'd learned how to do that. And then it turned into when I came in, I didn't have to sweep anymore. I was allowed to go learn to weld. And so by the age of 12, I'm running 7018s on a bulldozer out back on a bucket truck for the city of Virginia, fixing something.
Yeah.
And the looks that my father got when a 12-year-old came out there to weld up their bucket truck was,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was fun to say the least. So
I think that's probably your first, and I know you so well. We don't finish sentences like we were married, but we're close. We finish thoughts without saying it out loud. But that's probably your first opportunity to overcome something you don't like that's happening in your life,
yeah,
and you were like, I don't like this,
yeah, change it.
I'm gonna change it.
Yeah,
And a lot of times in life we get stuck of not having the balls to change it, or
mhm,
the go to
yeah,
do it. And I feel like that's why you're so successful, is that
yeah,
you have that bone somewhere, and that gut instinct to do something different, and make it different and make the change, right? Like that's what you do really well. Even every day that we're here, when we have an issue or we see something that we can do better, we make it and we do it right. And everybody around us sees that and they're like, what the heck? You guys are
yeah,
so different. So that's your first kind of like,
yeah.
I don't
And
like
it
this, I'm changing.
when you grow up in the type of household that I grew up in, very strict, very tough. We'll just leave it at that. You know, trauma comes with that.
That's right.
And so how do you deal with trauma? And I chose to channel it to, I could disappear if I was welding. I could disappear if I was turning something on a lathe. I taught myself how to run a lathe. I started cutting these little baseball bat keychains
Okay.
out of brass, scrap brass, and I'd take them to my school and sell them for $2. And
Entrepreneurial. So
yeah,
there you
and
go.
and
There's the
that's the stuff
business.
I would do.
Okay.
And ironically, just a couple years ago, I had a gentleman reach out to me on social media. He found me and said, "I bought one of your baseball bats when we were 12 years old, and I still have it." And he sent me a picture of it.
Come on.
Yeah, it was
That's really
really, really
cool.
cool.
That is
It's a
cool.
guy named Scott. So,
I love it.
so yeah, so in the machine shop, welding, running machines and whatnot, and that was my life.
Yeah.
Between that, um,
And you had brothers, so you had siblings.
I did. I had some siblings. I had two what I would call two real brothers, and then I had some step siblings. My father had remarried,
Got it.
and so the step siblings were very very small, so they weren't really in the shop. It was just me and my brothers, and so that was kind of how my life kicked off in a machine shop,
Yeah.
being around a machine shop. So when I was probably about 13 years old, not paying attention, my father had a big LeBlanc lathe, running a lathe, turning a big part. Wintertime, it was cold, and I put on my dad's sweater because I was cold.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was about 12, and he was had it on auto feed, and he was just turning this big long. I don't remember what it was, some type of something drive shaft or something. And he went to answer the phone. He said, "Watch this right here. When it comes down to the end, stomp on the brake." I was like, "Yes, sir." And I'm eating some crackers, and and I turned around and wasn't paying attention, and the sweater got caught up in the gears
Come on.
of the lathe and started pulling me back into the lathe. And luckily, it was a very very thick sweater. Well, it started choking me. Uh, and my father was up front on the phone, and something told him just to look out of his office, and he looked out, and I was white and out, and it was slowly, suffocating me.
Oh my
And
God.
it was pulling and pulling. And so, long story short, he ran down, slammed on the brake, reversed it. And I, had a ring on my neck for a couple weeks. And so that was my first experience with, don't mess around with lathes and mills and pay attention.
That's
So,
that's crazy.
yeah. So, yeah, so I went through life, pretty much working with my hands. And then of course, during that time, because of my father's religious beliefs, we didn't really celebrate Christmas. He didn't believe in, all that comes with that.
Right.
Use your imagination there. So
Yeah.
he would, his way of celebrating, was, we would make stuff, or he would buy stuff or we would build something in the
Right.
shop. And, you know, 1911s was one of those things.
Right.
And
Which
so,
takes us to why
yeah,
hundreds or if not thousands of people out there uh, from kind of this point of the story in Jake's life is why we all get to experience these fine pieces of art. So when you were 13, I
yeah,
guess 11, 12, 13,
yeah.
um, this is so dad brings in a Christmas present and this
Yeah,
is
it'd be
where
a
we get our gun start.
Caspian frame,
Caspian frame.
Caspian slide. Back then, and I don't know if what the laws are now, but back then you could actually make 2 a year without having serialization on them.
Okay.
And so we would put them up on the Bridgeport, and he taught us how to you know, cut the rails down. Of course, uh, you know, they weren't like these, obviously,
Right, right.
but I learned between that and an old Navy SEAL at that time who's dead now. I learned everything there was about a 1911, and I drank it, I ate it again because when you
It was your hiding
it
spot.
was a hiding spot.
Fly under the radar.
There you go.
Yep.
And so once you find that special thing, you just you latch onto it. You know,
Run
for a
to
lot of people, it's horseback riding when they
Right.
got their first horse or it's a car or whatever. For
Yeah.
me, it was machining and guns and welding.
Yeah.
And so I knew then that I was bit with it. And I tell people now, if you cut me open, I'm going to bleed guns, machining,
Yeah.
whatever. So,
Well, and being third generation, I mean, I think if you're either as a third generation anything, you're either so tired of it that you run far away or you follow the
that's
path
true.
and you make the best of it and be the third best.
Yeah.
You're
And
better than what was before you, right? Like I think
yeah.
that's where you
And you'll
we've
see
done.
in my story how I actually did get away from it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, that's where it comes
Circle
full
it back.
circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, from that, at that time, as I got a little bit older, I figured out that I was really good at soccer.
Yep.
And so, was playing soccer at school, becoming really good at soccer.
Yeah.
During that, I was probably about 15 at that time. My father and I's relationship, turned pretty sour.
We'll call
To
it
the
toxic.
Yeah, it became very toxic.
Toxic.
And so I decided that my real mother and grandparents lived in South Carolina. I decided I wanted to come live with them.
Okay.
Of course, my father had custody of me. Long story short, he wouldn't let me go,
Right.
and so I chose to run away.
Run away.
So I climbed out of my bedroom window and ran away. Went and got on a bus, and
Another big
yeah,
bullet point of life
big
of
one,
making a ballsy move, pushing the chips to the center, gambling.
really big one.
Yeah.
So landed in South Carolina. I'm close to the timelines. 1987, 1988. 16 years old. Nervous, scared. But my grandparents were here. My mother was here. My mother and father, who both are dead now. My mother was an alcoholic. You know, when her and my father separated, she never recovered.
Yeah.
So just an alcoholic. And so I had to get myself up every morning and drive myself to school. You know, I had to figure out, I had learned taught myself how to drive here and so forth. So my grandfather was handicapped in a wheelchair because he had a massive stroke when I was
Oh, man.
younger. So, you know, he would tell me things. And so there's a lot of, I had to learn myself.
Yeah.
And so, and I got a cold, by the way, so I apologize.
No,
So,
you're good, brother.
so I figured out again, it was my first time going to a public school. Went to a public school here in South Carolina called Brooklyn Casey,
Okay.
and quickly figured out that my soccer skills that I brought with me were needed.
New hiding place.
Yeah. And started playing soccer in high school and got really good. And I was convinced that I was going to play professional soccer.
Yep.
So that was professional soccer was just starting to become a thing in the United States then.
Yeah.
And so I kind of laid down welding. I didn't take welding. I took construction in high school, learned how to build houses and things like that. I didn't need to take welding because I knew how to do it.
That's right.
So the soccer was an outlet for me. And my senior year, scholarships were starting to be talked about, and I was like, here I go.
Oh, wow.
And in a game, I don't even remember who now, but in a game, folded my left leg backwards, basically ripped my knee apart, and that was it. And the reason I had some scholarship offers, and the ones that I had, because my father was still my legal guardian,
That's right.
I had sent the paperwork to him to sign for me to accept these scholarships to play soccer. And as one last jab at me, he never signed them. And so when my knee got folded backwards, my paperwork was rescinded
Oh God.
and I wasn't able to. So
So this is probably your first experience in chapter 3, we'll call it, of life where everything was gone.
yeah, that's
At least your dream and aspiration and what you put your heart on at this point in life is gone because you can't go to college and get
yeah,
your full ride and all the stuff that was
yeah,
with it. And you were set on that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So obviously that was my senior year. I knew college wasn't for me. So graduated. And when I graduated, I went to work for a little company called Columbia Lumber,
Okay.
just as a deckhand, running forklifts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I had another job where I was helping take boats out of boat slips at a place called Johnson Marina.
Okay.
And it was there when I saw a guy welding on a boat.
Got it.
And, at that time I'm 17, maybe. I was like, "Hey, I can do that." He was like, "Yeah, well, yeah, kid, whatever." I was like, "No, I can do that." And so I ended up welding a boat for him. Long story short, I decided to start my own welding business. So by this time, I had moved to another job with a greenhouse company in Irmo, South Carolina. And to this day, the owner of that company, I have to give a lot of credit. His name is Dan Derrick, probably one of my biggest mentors. Love him to death. And I was their lead welder at the age of 17.
Okay.
And so I would pull, I figured out I wanted to do welding because I knew, again, circling back.
Yeah.
And so I bought a Miller Bobcat with a high frequency unit, this little trailer, put it on a trailer. I pulled it behind my truck to work. I worked 8 to 10 hours at this greenhouse place, TIG welding all day long.
Yeah.
No air condition in a greenhouse.
Yeah.
And then at that time we had pagers and all that good stuff. And I had this little company called Weld Tech.
He's dating himself again.
Yeah. So I put out cards, and then so after work I would get calls, and I'd go call the people from the beeper, and I'd leave work and I'd go weld up wrought iron fences. I'd weld up boats. I figured out how to get in Lake Murray. We have Lake Murray here in South Carolina. I figured out how to get in the lake, and I rigged up my TIG unit where I had my instead of using a foot pedal, I had a hand rig,
Okay.
and I would stand in the water and weld pontoon boats so the people didn't have to take them out of their had to take them out of the water.
I'm not very smart, but doesn't that include electricity and water?
Well, it does, but the boat's grounded, and as long as you're safe, it's
So this guy has balls of steel, and I have many stories to prove to that to you. But a guy who wants to stand in the water and weld things, I always want to hear more.
yeah, it's the way that the polarity works. With welding, you're not going to get electrocuted.
Yeah, I'm out.
So
I won't change an outlet without turning off the breaker.
So I did that, and I was making some really good cash doing that.
Yeah,
And
after work. So you had a
Yeah,
full-time
that's after work.
job. We're doing all this, pulling a trailer around,
Yeah.
getting stuff
I'd get
done.
home. I was pretty much freshly at that point. I'm in my 20s now,
Okay.
early 20s. I'd pull it back to my grandparents' house. I'd get home at 11 o'clock at night. I'd had to back that trailer up into the fence, lock it up every night, and so forth. So, and then the jobs turned into where I'm welding on water towers.
Right.
I still drive around South Carolina, and when someone's with me, I'll just point. My daughter. I'll be like, "Hey, I welded that right there," and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was way back." And so, yeah, I did that, and made really good money. At by this time, I'm in my 20s, and got married, and was still just didn't stop working. Moved on from went and ran a welding supply company for a few years, and then from there got recruited to run a big tool and die company. So going back to the machine shop days.
Yep. I'm going to call this chapter 5
Yeah,
ish,
maybe so.
right? So
Yeah.
chapter 4 was like you got out of school, you started your welding business, you had a family started, you got a daughter and a wife, and kind of lived life, and that's
American dream.
American dream, and you got a good job, and you're doing your due,
Yeah.
and then Tool and Die Company
Yeah.
comes along, and that's a successful story.
It is.
It's a very
It's
successful story for you.
important. It's important to it leads to where we are now.
That's right.
So I met a gentleman from Australia who came into the welding business that I was running.
Yep.
And we became friends, and he said, "Hey, we've been recruited to, there's a brake facility plant being put up over here in West Columbia, tool and die shop. We need somebody with managerial experience, welding, so forth, tool and die." So long story short, I took that job as like an assistant manager, and started doing that. And that was in the late 90s, like 98, somewhere around there. And the gentleman that was running it at the time was doing some embezzling from the company.
Oh, wow.
And so the owner back in Australia basically fired him. That gentleman actually ended up passing away a few years later of cancer, but I was next up in line. So I'm 26 running this tool and die.
Oh, wow. How many people? 80, I think.
In our heyday, we had between 3 shifts, we had about 67 to 70.
Oh, wow. So 27, 28 years old. And I feel like you're the guy that if I met you way earlier in life, you'd be like, dude, this guy's got experience, like he's mid 30s, but he's
Yeah.
25 because of what you've been through.
Yeah. Still hadn't gone to college,
Nope.
School of Hard Knocks.
Yep.
So with that company, I said, "Hey, give me a chance. I believe we can do something with this." During that time, this was in 2000 by this time, 9/11 had not happened yet. Boeing announced that they were coming to Charleston, South Carolina. At that time, it was called Vought Industries.
Okay.
And I told the owner of the tool and die shop, I said, "Hey, this is a huge opportunity. We need to jump on this. We need to become aerospace qualified and so forth," because we were heavy into automotive.
Okay.
We went through what was called the Great GFC, the Great Financial Crisis,
I got you.
which was in 2008.
Yep.
When GM and Ford and all them got bailed out. We were making all the Corvette dies, the Mustang dies
Oh,
for
wow.
the brake calipers and all
Yep,
that. And
yep.
so, we took a hit. We lost 40 something employees. And so I directed the company into the aerospace
Right.
field. And I got that company certified in AS 9100. At that time, the Australian owner said, "How do you plan on getting in Boeing?" I was like, "Well, I'm going to find a way." So I drove to Boeing one day on a whim, and I could see that they were building it. And I pulled around to the guard check. At the time, it was all temporary stuff. And I remember asking a gentleman there, I was like, "Hey, man, who would I talk to about doing work here?" He was like, "Man, I can't help you. I'm a security guard here." I said,
Yeah.
"Okay." He's like, "I need you to turn your truck around because you can't be here." I said, "Okay, I'm sorry." And as I was turning my truck around, there was a gentleman coming out of the gate, and he was wearing a Clemson hat. And I'm a huge Clemson fan.
Come on.
Yep. Yeah. So I just said to him, "Go Tigers."
Yeah.
Which is what any fan does, whoever I know
That's
you're a
right.
Buckeye. Hey, go Buckeyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, "Go Tigers." And he was like, "Go Tigers." He's like, "You Tiger fan?" I said, "Hell yeah, man." And he stopped and said, "What's your name?" I was like, "I'm Jake." I was like, "What's your name?" He said, "My name is Chris." This gentleman turned out to be the tooling manager for Boeing. And he's like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here trying to."
I drove all the way down
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
on a whim,
Yeah.
couple hours
Yeah.
to see if I can meet somebody, and I got turned away
Yeah.
at the gate, and you
Yeah.
turn up.
Yeah.
Okay. First God. That's probably one of your first God
Yeah.
things, right? Like
Yeah.
just the experience. Okay.
So we started talking. We became friends, and he was like, "Well, he said, I can't like give you work." He said, "But I'll point you in the right direction." I said,
That's
"That's
right.
all I need."
Yeah.
So I went back to the Australian owners, and I was like, "Hey, I think I might have an in here."
Yeah.
And sure enough, we got in there and started making tooling for them, and was doing it for about a year. And at that time, the owner could see the company was getting bigger,
Yeah.
and his children were getting old enough to be involved in the business, and they had big eyes for America.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to come to America. So they informed me in 2010, somewhere around there, that he was going to send his 2 twin boys over to help run the company.
With all kinds of experience, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, tons of experience.
Yeah.
They were 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
So at that time, I had been with the company for almost 11 years.
Yeah.
And I had built us up from, $100,000 a year company to millions.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, they came in, and after about 2 or 3 days, I let them know. I was like, "Hey, man, there's a lot of cooks in this kitchen,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure I know where I stand. And family's first."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I don't want you to leave, but I want my boys to learn from underneath you." And I said, "Well, they're not ready to learn."
Yeah, exactly.
And so, you just kind of have that feeling where it's time to move on. You've kind of capped. And so I I I left. I just left. I was like, I'm going to do something different. I took 2 weeks off. They owed me some severance pay. They didn't want to pay me the severance pay. It turned out they didn't have the money,
Oh, wow.
because the boys had spent the money. It's a whole nother story. And I got a phone call from Boeing, that after about 2 weeks, I said, where are you at? We've been trying to reach this company that you work for. And I was like, I'm no longer there. And they were like, well, that's not good. I was like, I understand that. I was like, I'm no longer there. I can't help you.
Yeah.
At that particular time, South Carolina and Boeing had officially opened, and it was a big deal. They were starting to produce airplanes. And one of the deals that was put together was Boeing had to use South Carolina suppliers.
Keep it close. Charleston.
Correct.
Right?
Well, in South Carolina.
Yeah.
But one of the caveats was it could not be a foreign-owned company.
Ah. Okay.
So they let me know that. And so I went back home and I'm like, wait a minute. I started scheming. So I called my guy up from originally. I was like, hey, if I started my own aerospace company, I already know what to do. And he was like, I cannot tell you that you need to do that. I cannot tell you that you would be successful. But what I can tell you is that we've had great success with Jacob.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it.
That's one of those I cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I went and mortgaged my house and took out a $300,000 loan and bought a 1 Haas machine,
Love it. I love
1
it.
OD grinder, and 1 Haas lathe.
Okay.
And there were 2 people that worked with me previously at the other company that came over to me.
Right.
And there were 3 of us. And I got AS 9100 certified in 3 months because I'd already done it. I knew what to do.
Yeah. Shortcuts.
And so I started doing non-aerospace work, obviously to pay the bills.
Yeah.
There were only 3 employees. This was in 2011.
2011. Got it.
And started over with Boeing and went back down there, made a small part for them, passed, so forth. And all of a sudden it started to snowball and it turned into my first year in business. I did $190,000, which was a huge deal for me. 3 people.
Yeah.
And I started doing more work for Boeing. In my second year, I did $390,000. And then Boeing said, we want you to start making flyaway parts.
Okay.
Like serious parts.
So I'll give you a break and I'll explain to that what explain that is. So what Jake had got asked to do is basically we called it operations, emergency operation parts. So when a part would be or a plane would be ready and on the runway to go to the buyer, if there was something that didn't fit last minute or what didn't pass their QC, we would get asked to build a part. And generally that part was something they needed really fast. It was really hard to make, or they were out of material and it was the last little bit we get. And I only know this as part of the story. I wasn't with us yet, but that is kind of where we made our name for ourselves in that world of machining. Was they could come to us with a drastic problem in their eyes that they couldn't figure out, and we would fix it and we would get it done. And they got charged for that appropriately.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was good money for us.
Good money.
EOPS stuff. So that's kind of what EOPS is, or flyaway parts means it was going on an airplane.
So by that time, I the money was better. And so I upgraded my equipment, got rid of my Haas's, got a little bit better equipment, got
Right.
better employees, got
Yeah.
better engineers, just the typical growing your company organically,
That's right.
as quickly as I could, but it's, trying to not get too big,
Throttle it.
trying to throttle it. But like any big aerospace company, Boeing, when they find a good supplier, they would push you to get bigger. And so I fell for the bait, on that. And I started to get bigger to where I was doing millions of dollars a year.
Right.
And then I got in with Lockheed Martin.
Mhm.
GE started making F-35 parts, F-22. And these are very, very what we would call kinky parts.
Yeah.
A lot of these parts would be, most of them were titanium or just special alloys, but one part would be $8,000 or $9,000 just for one part.
Right.
And so we carved it. We carved ourselves out in the industry as the guys that could do the hard parts.
Yeah.
And we did that for quite a few years. During this time, my company was running great. I reconnected with my father who had cancer.
Right.
And my father still had his machine shop.
Yeah.
And my younger stepbrother was working there. And my father and I had, after some visits, had some long talks, and let's just say we reconciled.
Reconciled.
And so I surprised my father. My shop was doing so well, he didn't have a CNC machine, and I bought him a Haas VF3 and had it delivered to his shop.
So let me get this straight. This is the craziest thing. So let me get this straight. You actually ran away from home because of a toxic relationship with your dad, and then later in life rekindled, reconciled, and bought him a machine that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah, to get him into the 21st century.
to bring him up to speed.
Yeah. I had to forgive him.
Oh my gosh.
I had a daughter at this point, so I had to forgive him. He had cancer, and you got to swallow your pride. So we reconnected,
Yeah.
and then not only did I do that, I started sending them work
Okay.
to where at the time my father had always been a 3 or 4 man shop.
Yeah.
Still using the same Bridgeport mills that I was using,
Oh my gosh.
and I at one point
I know where some of those are still.
Yeah, they're still there actually. And my father had always been, he would do $10,000-$15,000 a month.
Yeah.
He was okay with that.
Right.
He was my stepbrother was running the shop, and so, or my half brother, I should say. And then I started sending them work to where I was sending them anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 a month in work.
Come on.
Yeah. And so actually built up my father's shop to where he could buy another CNC machine on his own.
Oh wow.
And so life was good for me. So during that time, when he had cancer, my other brothers, I for some reason I was led. I up and drove to he was living in the Outer Banks. I up and drove to the Outer Banks when he was in the hospital, and I said, I'm going to stay here. My shop was running good. I said, I'm going to stay here for a couple of weeks until you get through all of this chemo and all that. So I literally stayed at the hospital for like 3.5 weeks with him.
Really?
In the room, so forth. I would go back. I got a hotel, but I would just go shower. And they had a rule in the hospital that I could stay there overnight, but I could not fall asleep. If I fell asleep, because he had huge surgeries and whatnot.
Yeah.
If I fell asleep, I would get kicked out. So every night I would put headphones on when my father slept, and I would listen to podcasts and music, and I would stand all night long. And then in the morning when he would wake up, my stepmother would come in, and I would go back to the hotel and I would sleep. And I'd come back at 6 o'clock that night, and I'd stay with my father and talk to him and so forth. And then when he'd fall asleep, on went the Bose headphones, music, podcasts. I did that for 3 weeks straight.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I lost almost 11 pounds. During that time was when my father and I started talking just about life, just everything.
Yeah.
You can let your mind run.
That's right.
But during that time, he said, I really think you could probably build an incredible 1911 in that aerospace machine shop. And when I left there about 3 weeks later, I'm driving back to South Carolina, 7-hour drive. And I was like, he might be onto something.
Yeah.
So I did. My aerospace shop.
You just randomly say, I did. Because it's so easy to make a 1911.
Yeah.
If you know anything about, 1911s, it's easy to make a
Yeah,
1911.
Well, that's what the public thinks for sure.
Yeah.
And all of my other friends, OEM manufacturers of 1911s and double stacks, y'all can appreciate that joke. It's easy, and it only costs $200 or $300 to make one.
No big deal.
So, I did.
Yeah.
The shop was running great, and so that became my my decompression.
Right.
From running a multi-million-dollar aerospace company. Well, now it became in the evenings. I would go into my room, my gun room, and I'd work on guns.
Yeah.
And I would only do at that time, I got legal, FFL and all that. So I'd only do maybe 8 or 9 a year. And I had to learn.
Yeah.
It's really different because when I was a kid making them, they were just loose. It didn't matter. But I have a lot of my first guns that I ever made that are out there. I'm probably not proud of them, but now that as big as we've gotten,
Yeah.
I've actually had people say, "Hey, I got one of your guns from 2013." And they were like, "I wouldn't sell it for the world right now because it's serial number 3." And I've seen them and I've been like, "Oh God, I've learned so much since then." But with anything, you hone your skills and you get better. So on the weekends, I would run frames and slides. I'd run my own frames and slides. I was doing single stack 1911s, 45s.
Yep.
And big inspiration guys for me that were Les Bear, Ed Brown, Fred Cart, using Fred Cart barrels. And if some of our viewers will probably know who most of these people are. And so that's what I did. I liked it.
Yeah.
And it was enough for me.
But you're good, and you were good at it. Like when you get into something, I've learned about you is when you get into something, you go hard in the paint, right?
Yeah. Like scuba diving.
Epoxy. Yeah. Scuba diving. We love that.
Yeah.
We are scuba divers. We love scuba diving. We travel scuba. But epoxy tables, anything that you've like golf, you get into it.
I go into it.
We're hard in the paint and we go. So that's cool because that's what you had to do to get where we are today on the gun side.
So I started building higher end guns, again, honing my skills, learning, but I was trying to machine everything in house except for my barrels. I was machining everything.
Yeah.
And I noticed it was starting to take up time, and aerospace was really booming at that point.
Right.
And then people said, "Hey, you probably could make a pretty awesome AR-15 too." I was like, maybe we'll see. So, did that, and I was okay doing that.
Yeah.
Life was good.
And this was probably
moving into 2019.
8 years. Yeah, 8, 9 years in business.
Yeah. Started in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So moved into 2019. I was thinking I was going to expand my shop even bigger. But you remember when I said Boeing, wants you to get bigger and you put all your eggs in one basket? Well,
you did.
I did.
And then 2020 happened in
2019 and 2020 when Boeing's had the 2 plane crashes back to back.
Yep.
And the government grounded Boeing.
Yep.
I was at the shop one night when the second plane had crashed that day. That evening, I received a phone call from an executive at Boeing that said, your spindles are not to make another part. We've been grounded, which means you've been grounded.
Okay.
I said, what does that mean? He said, you're not to make another part. I said, sir, I have $4.5 million in POs on the books right now. I bought material. He said, you're not to make another part. Basically flicked their lawyer card at me and said, if you have a problem, contact our lawyer.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is this possible, sir? And they actually claimed force majeure.
Okay.
Which I don't recall it being an act of God, but
yeah.
I hung up the phone. At that time, I had 11 employees.
Right.
And got in my truck and was driving home, just staring out the window, and ended up driving 45 minutes past my house and didn't realize it. And what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And I had accepted that. Okay, I'm done. How am I going to tell the employees? How do I was going to like call and say, all right, how do I tell people they're laid off? How do I help them find jobs?
Yeah.
The
fact that you even think about that as the owner is what makes you and I, what drew me to want to do everything that we've done in the last 3 years
Yeah.
is the fact that you think about that. And most owners would
I
be
love
like,
them. I love my employees.
You do. You
Yeah.
absolutely do. And I think that most owners that get put in your situation think differently. They want to, fight or flight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you actually go over and above. And I think that's the beauty about the human that you are, is that you are always caring about somebody else and generally putting yourself in the back, which is, it just doesn't happen. And that's why we all pull as hard as we can for our company.
Yeah. So I finally had to make the turn in the driveway. My daughter was, um, maybe a freshman in high school.
Right.
At that time, my wife didn't work. She didn't
Right.
have to,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I got home and I was scared to walk in the door.
And you had a nice little place too.
Yeah, I did. I was living on 10 acres and, I had everything,
Yeah.
living the American dream,
Right.
tractors and bikes and all that stuff. And so I went in and said, hey, big problems. This is what I'm going to have to do. I'm either going to have to close or I'm going to have to figure out how to keep the company going. I don't have we didn't have a ton of money, but we had some cash.
Right.
I was like, but we would only have enough to go maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
And when you're knee deep in aerospace and all of aerospace has been grounded,
Yeah.
you just don't go pick up. I'm going to go
Extra.
do medical now. It doesn't
Right.
happen overnight.
Right.
And I said, unless the only way I can make it is if I just sell everything.
Everything. Personal.
Everything.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, my wife and my daughter looked at me and they were like, we're with you, Dad. Whatever you want to do. So I went to bed that night and I woke up the next morning and I said, you know what? Let's do it. And I told them both, I said, here's the thing about assets. Everything that I'm going to sell, I can replace it.
Yeah.
Just give me time. So I did. I sold my house. I sold cars. I sold bikes. I sold tractors. I sold woodworking equipment. I sold epoxy tables. I sold chainsaws. I sold grinders. I sold my wife's sports car. I could just go down the list. I guns. I sold some of my original 1911s
Oh,
that
wow.
I said I would never sell. I sold those. I sold shotguns that I had. I sold everything.
So you're 40,
I would have been 40,
48 years old, and you sell every asset you have personal
everything.
to keep
Everything.
employees engaged in your company, because you want that to always
Correct.
succeed. Sorry.
Yeah. So I went back to work the next day.
Yeah.
And I told the employees what had happened.
Yeah.
And of course, you saw the blood drain from his
That's right.
face. And I said, look, and I'm not ashamed to say this as a grown man, I was bawling,
Yeah.
crying to my employees, apologizing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And most of those employees are still here. They were there that day, and some of them were crying.
Yeah.
And I said, but look, I have a plan. I said, I think I can buy us 6 months. Stick with me.
Yeah.
And I told them my plan. I said, I'm selling everything. I said, I'm going to keep every single one of you. I said, we're going to clean floors. We're going to do whatever. I said, but remember those guns I was making? We're going to make guns full time.
Come on.
And I said, you remember those AR-15s that everybody was telling us to make? And Jesse, one of my programmers, was like, yeah. He's like, hell yeah. He goes, let's freaking do it.
Yeah.
And in 1 week, I had every employee in there on board. And we started with blueprints and models, and we started cutting. We cut late into the night, and we made our first AR-15s, AR-10s, JG9s, our
Yeah.
AR-9.
Yeah.
And I started selling those. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Because you got to remember, I was only making 7 or 8 1911s a year. Well, I had people waiting on those. I had people say, hey, I want to buy one. They'd take a deposit. But this is different.
Oh,
now
yeah.
it was in production.
That's right.
And I flipped the entire shop. And all of my guys were like, we got the most badass equipment out there. We can make anything.
Right.
And so I did. I flipped the shop. And we started gaining some headwind. And then COVID hit. And I thought, oh boy.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Here we go again.
It's like the 6th kick in the balls for you in life. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not one of these owners that lies or tries to hide it. When Donald Trump came out and said there is COVID loans, I said, sign me up.
Yeah.
And I didn't get much. It was maybe $300,000.
Yeah.
It wasn't much.
Uh-uh.
And I went and took what they called a idle or COVID loan. And every business did it. A lot of businesses took way more than they should have.
That's right.
And there was a lot of corruption there, but we didn't do that. So I took that money and I kept going. And we were starting to get some traction in the industry. But again, I did not know what I was doing. And so I learned I needed to start going to these shows. You got to start going to what they call NBS and worldwide, all these other things.
SHOT Show, NRA.
Yeah. And so I was buying parts for the ARs from different people. And I was actually buying AR parts from you, the company that you were previously at, which is the first time I ever talked to you. And so I'm like, you know what? I got to start going to these shows.
Yep.
So I bought this booth, and spent, $8,000. I'm like, okay, I'm watching stuff on YouTube. How do you market a gun?
This is funny.
How do you do this? And I had, Marty was working for me, Jesse, Levi, I can go down the list, Tanner, my CFO's son was working with me. I was like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We built a damn good gun. Okay. But we didn't know if we were supposed to put in an egg crate or if we're supposed to stand there with lights. We just did not know what we were doing.
I remember coming to your booth the first time in SHOT Show, and Jake shows up at my booth when I was with my previous company, and we have a meeting, and he's in there like, we're going to sell X amount to this person and this person, and I'm like, I've never even heard of y'all.
Yeah.
Other than me
I
wanting
remember that meeting because you're looking at me like you're crazy.
Like, it was more the guy who was with you, which we don't want to talk about that, but I was just like, who is this guy? And I never see him, and now he's telling me he's just
full of piss and
you're ready to go. So I go down to his booth the first time, and he's not even at his booth. And I grab a hat, steal a hat off of one of the Cryptek hats. I took it out of your cabinet because no one wanted to give me one, so I just ripped it out of your cabinet and went on my business. And this was in Vegas, SHOT Show, about 3.5, 4 years ago. No,
it's been almost 5 years.
No, not the first time I met you.
The first time. Yeah.
So it's like 3.5, 4 years ago. So this guy is like clueless at what he's doing. And one of the guys that's behind this what we're doing tonight is Jay, and he's laughing back there in the background because like when we listen to what Jake was trying to do to be successful in the business, that Jay and I are, like, I would call us, we're pretty good at what we do kind of thing. It's just funny to look back at where we've come from.
Listen, I was throwing Hail Marys, as we call them. But people would stop and they're like, man, this is an awesome gun and so forth. And so, I floundered around still and, decided we were going to go to a show in Texas called NBS show.
Yep. Fort Worth.
And they said, you got to get in with distributors, Jacob, and so Fort Worth. Yeah. And, so I said, all right, we're going to do this show.
Yeah.
So I loaded up this trailer with our booth from Vegas, and we drive to this show, and it was when Texas had their huge winter storm.
Yep.
And I had 2 employees with me. I don't mind saying Marty and Levi with me.
Yep.
And Levi was sitting next to me, and Marty was in the back, and we had driven all the way to Texas from South Carolina. Got to Texas, sleet, snow, ice all over the roads. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And at one point, I'm like, we probably should turn around. This is bad. We might not be able to make it to this show.
Yeah.
And I was pulling this little, 10-foot enclosed trailer behind. I think at the time I was driving like an AT4 or something. So get into Texas, driving about 30 miles an hour. Couldn't see visibility. It was probably 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Come up over a hill. And as I come down the hill, there was an overpass. And below me was like 8 cars wrecked. And I just said, guys, we're fixing to wreck. We're going to wreck. We're going to wreck. Hold on. Marty's yelling in the back. Levi's got his hands up. And right when I got to the first car, I did not hit the brakes. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. And I thought, you know what? Screw the trailer. I don't want to damage my truck.
Yeah.
So I just started turning the wheel, and I pinballed. I didn't touch a single car, but every time I turned the truck, the trailer would jackknife, but the trailer was smaller than the truck, and it would come around, and I had a steel bumper on my truck.
Yeah.
And it would hit the bumper and bounce back the other way. And every time it bounced back, it
Straighten
would
you
turn the truck back the other way. And if you can picture, I did this
About 4 times.
4 times around all these cars. I didn't touch a single car.
Oh my gosh.
And I come out the other side, and I'm going down, and I look down, and there's a baby
No.
down in a little baby carriage. And I
Dude.
opened the door, and I scooped up this baby, and I put I lied about that part. There was no baby.
Oh my god.
But I did miss every single car. And I came out the other side, and I just casually looked over at Levi, and I was like, well, what's wrong?
Right.
You know,
Right.
of course, I'm more than likely,
Peed your
I
pants a
basically
little
shit
bit.
my pants.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was just like, what, oh my God.
What's that smell?
Yeah. And we were shook up.
Yeah.
And we're driving to the hotel, and I'm thinking, this thing has crunched up my bumper, but I didn't care. We get to the hotel. The bumper's not even damaged. The trailer's not even damaged. So I'm sitting in the hotel room that night, and I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm here.
You're a man of faith.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here. Why am I here?
Yeah.
Because by all accounts,
Sure.
everything should have been totaled. Booths should have been wrecked. I mean, cars are wrecked everywhere.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we get up the next morning, and we go. Of course, the snow and all is melting by that time.
Yeah.
You know. And we go in and set up our booth, and I told the guys, I'm like, hey, I'm going to walk around a little bit. And I walked down, and I saw you.
Yeah.
And
I had a grip.
yeah,
I was
you had
trying
a
to sell
grip.
you
You're
those
trying to
stupid
sell me
grips. Yes.
grip for the AR-15. And
Trying to sell him grips for his ARs.
you and I had obviously already talked a few times. I was buying stuff from you. I knew you very well.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit of a slow show,
Right.
and it allowed me and you to talk.
Right.
And I remember hanging out in your booth, and I just started telling you my struggles.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, look, I'm building a good gun,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the hell I'm doing, dude.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you for advice.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and you didn't say anything to me. You were saying, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then I'd go back down to my booth. I think it was a 3 or 4 day show. And I would come back to your booth, or,
I would go to your booth.
you'd go to my booth,
Yeah.
and we started talking. And I remember telling Levi, I was like, man, I wonder if that guy would ever come work for us. Levi was like, I don't know. He's a pretty big dude over there and whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I think about the second day, I think I jokingly said, well, you're telling me all this stuff. Why don't you just come do it?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
You
I
know,
laughed it
yeah.
off. But what
You laughed
Jake
it off.
what Jake didn't realize was I was at a position, and I was about to do a change to another company. And when I say that there's a lot of God in our story, there is. And he, because for almost 2 months before Jake and I got to that show and had a talk, I was praying about a new opportunity. I wanted to go run a company. I wanted to have a runway. I wanted to be able to have a place where I could be myself and have somebody support me in that and really kind of take it. And the opportunity that I had sitting there that was pretty close to being a done deal, I kept not feeling that gut feeling. And if you remember,
Yeah.
one of my questions to you that kind of put me over when we started getting kind of into the negotiation or talking about actually doing it was like, if one day I just want to pray with us as we just sit around, would you be cool with that? And you were like, hell yeah, man. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And that was like, you went through, picked up a baby off an icy road, and I'm over there going, man, I just want a place where I can call home, a friend that I can do something for. And when you tell me your story the first time of really kind of diving into what we've shared here tonight, I was like, man, this guy, everybody has tried to take advantage of you. And 3 years ago, I told you no one will ever do that again.
Yeah, you did.
And we have many stories of me. I'm not a small guy, and Jake. Usually, we always say, you're either going to learn that I'm his best friend or his bodyguard, and I prefer to do the best friend thing.
Yeah.
And I've been in those situations where we've had to do the protecting thing. But that's the cool part about why we've come together. So, Texas, you, me, we
It worked.
invited Laura, my wife,
Yeah.
and we went to the
For
hotel
3 hours
and
we talked, and
talked
I
about
told you my
our
story, and
visions.
I told you, I said, "Look, I'd love for you to come work for me. We'll work out salary negotiations later, but I think the biggest thing I told you was, you got all the runway you want. Just
Right.
leave me in the shop and let me make guns," because
Right.
I was uncomfortable
Yeah.
where you were most comfortable.
Yeah.
And I said, "Look, yeah, I'm not going to get in your way.
Yeah.
I'll listen to what you say.
Yep.
I'll give you guns."
Yeah.
You know, uh,
He hired me to be the janitor, and somehow I got to be able to lead the company. So
yep.
that's super cool.
You've done a great job. And I'm so thankful that you came on board. First week we jumped on an airplane and went to Ewa, Germany.
Yep.
And we sat there for 10 hours and said, this relationship is either going to work in 10 hours or we're going to part ways.
Yeah, that's right.
And it actually was probably one of the best meetings we ever had. We had a plan in place when we landed in Germany. And I knew then, I'm like, I was starting to feel, okay, I might have made a right decision, because I had already had 2 previous guys come to work for me. One of them who you met at SHOT Show,
Yeah. Yeah.
who turned out to be not very good characters.
That's right.
Who saw an opportunity
Yeah.
and was trying to take advantage of that opportunity,
Right.
in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. And so, after Germany, I thought, you know what, we're gaining some head steam. And, I was working on a project that I told you about. We're not going to say it here
Yeah.
because we don't want people to go.
That's
But I was
next.
working on a project, and you were like, "Yeah, I don't know about that project." And you talked to a friend of yours in Germany, and you said, "What else do you have?" And I said, "Well, I have a double stack 1911 that I'm working on, but I'm not done with it yet."
Right.
And you called that. We were in Germany. You either saw him or something, and you asked him, "Hey, Jacob Gray is thinking about doing a double stack 1911." And the first thing he said was, "Do it. Do it now."
Market's hot. Yeah.
And we told that guy the other project I was working on, and he was like, "No,
Yeah.
do the double stack."
Yeah.
And thankfully, with your experience, you latched onto that and you pushed me and said, "No, get back into the cave.
Yep.
Do your thing."
Yep.
And so we did. And on the plane ride back, I think, we wrote out we're kind of doing it as sort of a pro forma, if you will.
Yeah.
Where do we want to be in 10 months? Where,
Yep.
what is this looking like? How big is the company?
Yeah.
Just
We put our plan.
yeah,
our
laying the
vision.
runway out. And you at that time said, "Well, marketing wise, in about 10 months, we're going to need to hire a marketing person." But I was like, "Well, who would that be?" It was like, "Well, I mean, I was going to get the best guy, it'd be Jay Duncan," and I didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
I can't get him. He's sewed up. So there's another guy I know, a couple guys I could probably reach out to, but we're not ready for that yet. Okay, no problem.
So we fly home.
So we fly home, and off I go, start finishing up this, which turned out to be our TWC. And I want to say we'd been back maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Not even that. So this is the best part. This is another God part of our story of why things happen for a reason. So Jake and I had talked about the 1911 double stack. I got confirmation from 3 or 4 different sources that it was a hot market ready to roll. And I told Jake that about my hit list of buddies in the industry that I would want to come work for us. And I think I flew home on a Tuesday after we had got back, and I'm sitting on my couch watching TV on Friday night, and I get a rando LinkedIn connection from Jay Duncan, who's one of our best friends. And I'm like, it's really weird. Jay's got my cell phone number. I don't know why he's LinkedIn me. So I text him like, "Hey, bro, you okay?" And he was like, "No, not really. I just got let go from my job." And I was like, mic drop. What the heck? How the heck? We just talked about him like 4
Yeah.
days ago.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Can I call you?" And we had a conversation, and just, unforeseen circumstance with his position where he was at. They downsized, did some change stuff, just wasn't right. And he got let go for just kind of just a business thing. So I'm like, "Dude, come over and help me do Jacob Gray. It'll be so fun." And he's like, "Who the heck is Jacob Gray?" And if you know Jay's history, like, he's been with some big companies in our industry, and I got him trying to come help me build this company that we literally are starting almost from nothing. So we've been in business a long time, but like from the brand perspective, that people are like, "Who the heck? What the heck?" So it's like, all right, dude, here we go. So then he says, let's do some consulting. And I'm like, I'm not stupid. I know you don't want to look like you have job hopper on your
Yeah.
resume. So I tell him, I said, dude, just come on as a consultant. So he's like, all right. I was like, Monday we're start as consultant, a few hours a week. By like Tuesday afternoon, I'm like, this is stupid. Are we friends? Are we talking like friends, or are you charging me for this conversation? So I was like, give me a number, man. We got to make it work. So I had to get Jay to get me something, and we ended up putting it together and brought him on. So Jay came on about 3 months, 2 months after we really kind of got locked and loaded. About 3 months after I started bringing it
And it
on.
was
So
fresh, dude. We had a
we had
whiteboard
no idea what we were.
in this
We
little
knew what we were
tiny
doing.
office. We had a whiteboard, and then we had a window, and Jay's just writing on the window like Rain Man. Like, all right, what the hell are we gonna do here? And I'm over there going, dude, I'm just supposed to build guns.
Yeah,
Y'all got it covered from here. But he was like Rain Man over there, and he's like, and I'll never forget. I have this picture somewhere. I'll never forget the window. He was writing with a Sharpie, and I'll never forget. It was like a family tree, and he was just drawing arrows down. If you do this, we got to do this. We do this. And, I remember looking at that thing going, and at the very end, he basically wrote, it was like touchdown or success.
yeah,
It's like, if you do this way.
yeah,
I was like, how do I know that's going to work? And he said, because I've done it at 3 other companies.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And so that was how kind of the trio started.
yeah.
And listen, it's tough. We have been through our bumps and bruises. It is not all, we're giving you the highlights, the good.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. What I would like to tell the consumers, we try to build the best gun that we can. We're not perfect. We're not. We make mistakes every day. We make design flaws. But one of the things that you and Jay both put together and pushed hard was, when nobody knows us, so our customer service has got to be out of this world.
Yeah.
And thank God y'all put that plan in place, because it has helped us. We have learned to make the gun better because of the customer service, people talking to us. We've made leaps and bounds. I mean, all of our new models sitting here, and there's so much more coming out with Jacob Grey that I can't say. And it's all because of you and Jay. And it was not hard for me to swallow my pride and give you the runway you needed.
Yeah.
A lot of owners, I always think about the Cowboys. Everybody talks about Jerry Jones, if he'd get out of the way.
Yeah.
But I was not that person. I was like, you know what? These guys know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
You do what you do best, make some guns.
Yeah.
And so I will tell our consumers, our fans, people who own our guns, we do strive to be as perfect as we can be. We do make mistakes. We have customers that get upset. We try to talk them off the ledge. We do everything we can, because I want you to have the best damn gun that we can build. And sometimes, to put it bluntly, we'll shit the bed.
Yeah.
But I can promise you, we learn from it. We absolutely learn from it, and we keep going. And if you think there's not a gun manufacturer out there who doesn't shit the bed, or maybe they're good at hiding it, every single gun manufacturer has their problems. But the good ones, and I know who the good ones are,
Yeah.
they push to get better.
Yeah.
And that's why you've got a top tier group of 2011 companies. And I don't have to list them. Everybody knows who they are. And I'm big fans of those people. I don't talk to those owners very much,
Right.
but I'm very respectful of the other guys in this industry,
Right.
Especially the ones that are truly manufacturing everything. There's a lot of players out there. There's 50, 60 people making guns, buying parts, whatever. But the true players out there, I have a deep respect for them, because I know how hard it is to build a gun.
Right.
And I've always told my employees and people that I meet at shows, it is hard to make a gun. It's damn hard to make a $5,000 gun.
Yeah.
I mean,
really good gun.
we have blims because there's a scratch
Yeah.
on the side of it that we cannot sell to the customer.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, but it's still a good gun.
Right.
So our guns are getting better and better. We've got design patents on our grips and all of the cool things that are going to be coming out. The Recoil Reaper, I mean, just so forth. The Knox Limited, the next model we're going to announce here in a couple months with,
Yep.
To help with the shooting competitions. I'm not giving away too much, but Jacob Grey is growing. We're hiring.
Yep.
We've moved to a new facility.
Yep.
we've got over $11 million worth of CNC equipment. I think you show that in the video. You've done a great job of trying to educate the public on what it takes to build one of these guns, because I know early on in our success, we had to field phone calls and people going, "You guys don't make your stuff. You're buying all your crap and you're just an assembly house," and blah. And we were like, it was very frustrating because they didn't see the nights. The room that we're in right now, there's a couch that I still sleep on. I slept on it last week. Here running machines. And they just don't know what it takes to build a gun. And I feel like we decided, I think about a year or two ago, to start going back at people and saying, no, you don't understand what it takes to build a gun. And I hope that we've helped the other manufacturers. I had a friend today text me and said, had a buddy today tell me that he knows for a fact that it only costs like $200 to build a 2011. And I texted him back and I was like, well, tell him to stick whatever he does for a living, tell him to stick with that. But I started thinking, it's like, how do you even educate the public and the other OEMs that are listening to this, maybe, or they see it, they'll know the frustration. And that is, how do you educate the public that to build a $4, $5, $6, $7,000 gun, it's not easy.
No.
And it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. I mean, you and I have been through the ringer. Our team's been through the ringer, but you and I wear it on our sleeve every day.
We do, because I want every person that buys the gun, and some of them I'll talk to them on the phone. Our customer service team, Hampton, Jay, all of those guys, they've done such a good job. You can't make everyone happy. But we've done a really good job of making sure the family of Jacob Grey owners are get the best experience they can. They send their gun back. No questions asked. We're going to fix it. You can't please everybody, but we damn sure try.
No, we definitely go over and above, and that's one thing you'll see if you do any kind of research on us. As I'm a big fan of the campfire story, and you can put yourself in my position, or vice versa. And if you go on Amazon and you buy something, the first thing you get is if it's good, generally you just take it and use it, and if it's bad, you're like, this is stupid. This is not what it said, and you're instantly to the web. And I had a guy yesterday do one of the shakedown type things, and it's like, dude, stop. Like, just, if you don't like my product or don't want to get my product, then don't get it. Go buy a Chevy if you don't like Dodge. I don't care.
And we see other manufacturers going through it. Some of our friends are going through it. It happens to everybody.
That's right.
And you kind of feel sorry for them, but that is, you are in the business of the public buying your product, so you got to take the good with the bad.
Well, and we love to hear the success stories. If you have one of the Jacob Grey early edition guns, feel free to let me know how much you want for it, or send us in pictures for Instagram, because I would love to see some.
No more being made.
No
Retired.
More, no more single stacks. But tons of new stuff coming here in 2026. But we've been asked to do this by a lot of different people, family, friends, industry friends, to tell the story, because it's been out a lot to people, and I feel like the American dream is real. We do our best to make sure on every single level of your experience with Jacob Grey, from packaging to the receiving of the gun, to the execution, to the shooting of the gun and the platform, that we are doing our best to make sure that you're getting everything that you paid for and more. So if you have anything, always reach out to us. We have a full help desk ticket system, so that is really important for us to be able to interact with our family out there of Jacob Grey fans. We wouldn't be successful without the handful of people who gave us a chance when we were nobody. And with all the feedback that we've gotten from TWC 9 days, we now have a limited optics gun that's popped out, and what Dale, our guy that we
Dale
sponsored. Dale out west, we've sponsored a guy, and
he's winning
with it against the guys. He's winning with it against guys that have atlases and everything else under the sun. So we're pretty excited about that. But we just wanted you guys to spend some time with us. I know it's a little bit long-winded. I hope you just sat back and relaxed and just learned more about us and what we do. The team here in South Carolina is awesome. We
take everything very seriously, because I know Jay's behind the mic, but we have what's called a RISE meeting every quarter.
That's right.
Jay can give you the nomenclature on that, but it's where our improvements, and we have metrics. We track everything in this company. And that's when it's brought to us, those metrics, whether it's a site was broken, whatever it is, customer complaint, and we track it, and it comes up in a RISE meeting. and that's how we run our company, and that's how we improve. So I just want to give a let the customers know that that's how serious we are.
And not ever have we had a rise meeting go from one quarter to the next and not see a drastic drop in something that
Correct.
was a problem. So we
Correct.
always are effectively putting procedure in, processes in, finding the root cause, creating a solution for that, and then implementing. So the we say bumps and humps that we've seen, like all those bumps and humps were a necessary evil for us to become better.
Yep.
And if you can take that perspective and run with it as a business owner or a business leader, um, you're gonna be leaps and bounds better every
Yep.
time you face it. If you look at it and you're like, man, this isn't fair. These people aren't being nice to me, and you don't look at it as like we're looking in the mirror. That they're criticizing this, but do we have to look at ourselves?
Yeah.
We do that, right? Like, dude, I don't want that to look like that. We
No.
didn't even
Yeah.
think about that,
Yeah.
So those are things that that Jacob Gray. I mean, there's been times where we hear about something and within 2 hours the change is made, it's in the
Yeah.
system, and we always have what we call in manufacturing, we always have what we have is WIP, which means it's in progress. And if we make a change today, that change comes about in 4 weeks. You can't just stop everything and
Yeah.
make the change, or your business will fall apart. But
Yeah.
we're always continuously getting better at what we do, and we can't do this business. We feed 28 families right
Yeah,
now.
it takes 28 employees to run a business like this, and we don't make a ton of guns. What we we're not like a Smith and Wesson and
Right.
a Sig or somebody, but
A couple hundred guns a month.
yeah, and it takes a lot of employees, and you want every employee to feel the same way you do,
Yeah,
and they do, but sometimes stuff gets through the cracks and
That's
it
right.
makes it out there to the public. But it may be embarrassing, but we're gonna fix it. I promise you, we're gonna fix it. You have my word on that.
Yep. Most times, if it gets to Jake or myself, it's definitely it's been brought to the right people. Our team does a great job, but we just thank you, man.
Thank
I
you.
wanted you to hear
It's been fun.
the Jacob story tonight of who he
Thanks
is,
to
and
everyone
there's
who's
really a
purposely done.
Jacob Gray, because we get that right. Like, is
Oh
Jacob
God,
Gray a
yeah,
real
he's
person?
not real. That's my name. My name is Jacob Gray.
Yeah.
And I thanks to everyone who's bought a gun and anyone who's thinking about buying a gun. If you're ever in South Carolina, come. I'll give you a personal tour. I'll show you how your gun is made. You're spending a lot of money on this gun. You're supporting a lot of families. We've got nothing to hide.
Yep.
And thank you so much for supporting us, and just keep supporting us and watch what's coming. We got some cool stuff coming.
I do have a plan for sometime a little bit later in the year to be coming out with another shop kind of tour. And if you've watched the first one, and we get so much good feedback
We
of
did.
kind of the behind the scenes, I'm going to do another one this summer, towards the end of summer, and we have some new equipment being put in. We've done some new stuff. There's a hole in the wall that we
Yeah.
had to put a hole
Got a
in.
machine coming in 2 weeks.
So there's a lot of cool stuff coming from Jacob Gray. We're super excited, and we can't do it without y'all. So
Thank you so much.
we're just we're here, and if you guys need anything, you let us know. Jay, you got anything to say back there? You're good to
right.
go?
Thank you.
Okay, he's giving us the thumbs up. So
Good deal.
all right, have a good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Todd and Jake here with Jacob Gray. We appreciate your business, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to Gray Matter, the official podcast.